Roundtable discussion. Asnah Roundtable discussion is all about you. It's all about educating and empowering the community. We believe in education because education is power. Tonight we have a very interesting discussion on the table. I have two panelists with me. My name is Essie Jennings, but before I introduce them to you, please do me a favor. Please subscribe to Asnah TV on YouTube, share our broadcast, comment, and drop all your comments on what you'd like to learn on our platform. We are going to talk about real estate. You can agree with me that real estate is one of the areas that is doing very well in the United States. So I have two real estate agents here with me this evening, and we are going to learn all about real estate. Call a friend, invite somebody, and let's all gather around here and let's learn about real estate. Tonight I have with me Mr. Alex Achampong and Miss Anita Bidiakon. Miss Anita, I'd like you to introduce yourself briefly to our audience before we start.
Okay, thank you so much for having us here today. I'm really honored and privileged to be here to join you on your platform in helping and educating the community. I don't take being here lightly, so I want to thank you for that. So my name is Anita Bidiakon, as mentioned, and I'm a real estate agent licensed in the states of Virginia and Maryland. I have a number of years in the real estate industry. I enjoy and love working with all types of people. I enjoy working with sellers and buyers who are interested in pursuing the American dream, and also investors who are using real estate as a tool to generate generational wealth. So that is a little bit about myself.
Thank you so much, and I'm happy that you joined us this evening. Mr. Alex, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself before we begin?
Thank you for having me, Ms. Essie. My name is Alex Achampong, a real estate agent. I started my career 5 years ago with Kelly Williams. After 1 year with Kelly Williams, I moved to Samson Properties, and for the past 4 years, I've been with Samson Properties. And from the year 2018, 2019, 2021, I've been given an award as a top producer with Prince William Association of Realtors.
Now, I'm going to start our discussion right now. And the first question that I'd like to ask is, who is a good realtor? Or who is a good real estate agent? Miss Anita, ladies first.
So a good realtor is someone who is has gone through the educational credentials. As he said, before you become a real estate agent, you have to go through education and get your certifications and those types of things, so you're equipped with knowing the real estate laws. That will guide you in writing contracts, negotiating, and those types of things. So a good realtor has to understand the real estate laws. They have to also abide by the code of ethics that guides us. Like lawyers have code of ethics, so we also have code of ethics that we follow, that is fiduciary responsibilities to our clients and customers and such. A good realtor is someone who is patient and someone who is willing to serve the client's best interests at large. I think I'll leave it here and let Mr. Champon also pick up from here.
When we talk about good realtor, I put it, there can be so many definitions of who is a good realtor. But I have 3 words, which is selfless, honesty, and integrity. Those 3 words, selfless, honesty, and integrity.
Very powerful words.
Those 3 are the things that define a true real estate agent or a good realtor for that matter. Those are the 3 principal words or core that if one operates on it, or if you want to see that someone is a good agent, those 3 qualities that you are to look in such individual.
You have to look out for those. So it's not like something that it should be part of your human ethics,
yes,
and it's also part of the job.
Correct.
It's part of it.
Yes.
Now, if we talk about good real estate, we can't deny the fact that we're not going to talk about why do we need a realtor,
Okay.
or a real estate agent. Why do we need one? I'll start with you.
Thank you. That's a very good question. So, in simple words, real estate is very complicated. It's a very, very complicated subject. And so, because of the detail that it involves, that is the reason why there's need for anyone who want to sell their home or want to buy a home, need to obtain the services of a realtor. So, for instance, let me bring it to our day-to-day life. Who in their normal senses will a police stop them on the road and give them, say, okay, this is 25 zone, but you were doing 50 miles per hour. They are going to be given a reckless ticket.
That's right.
Most people who are very smart, they are going to obtain the services of an attorney.
Definitely.
If they are not smart, then that's when they'll go to court and say, I'm going to represent myself.
And feel miserable.
Who in their normal mind, that a police will give them DUI. And then they just wake up and say, oh, I'm going to the court to face the judge myself. Anybody who is smart, or if they have a family member, they say, you know what, you need to retain the services of an attorney.
That's right.
You cannot just appear before the judge and say you are going to defend yourself. You fail miserable. So it's the same way that when it comes to real estate, it has so many components, twists and turns, that the average person, you cannot understand. And that's why you need a realtor. And that is why our services are more important.
That's right. And I know that there's lots of terminology. It's just like a lawyer and a client, a doctor and a patient, things like that. So there's so many things that many times you don't understand. But a realtor will be the good person to represent you and advocate, something like that. Yeah. All right, Miss Anita, anything that you'd like to add to this?
Yeah, I think Mr. Champon said it all, and I think your example of adding, that's one example I had in mind, the doctor patient relationship. Realtors is a profession. We are professionals. Just like he said, lawyers, you retain lawyers for services. You retain doctor services. So, you know, if you need to buy a house, sell a house, invest, we understand certain concepts that you as a consumer do not understand. And everybody is specialized in their field of work. So as a nurse, what you may say or some terminology that you will use as an average patient, I may not understand that. The same principle applies as in real estate profession. So if you are pursuing investment, selling, buying, whatever it is, you definitely need a real estate agent. And just like you said, we advocate for your well-being and we are here to serve you. So
Because if you have a realtor, they would do the work for you.
yeah.
And I also suggest that you always get a realtor that is able to interpret things in your own, to your own understanding. So if you speak another language and you have a realtor that can speak your language, it's the best. It will help you get what you need, explain it, bring it down to your own terms so that things will be a bit more easier for you. So that's what I recommend. So let's get into the buyers, whole concept of buying and what kinds of things that we need to understand as buyers. Now, if you're going to buy a property, what are some of the steps or preliminary necessary preparation that you need to do to buy that property? Ms. Alex, would you start with us?
Yes, thank you. It's a good question. So before I tackle it, just to add to the first question, because I believe it's very, very important that if people understand what agent or realtors represent, it's going to make a whole difference. So I want to lay more emphasis on it.
Sure, go ahead.
For instance, I've heard people saying, oh, I'm going to sell my home, and I don't need a realtor because the realtors are going to charge me. Guess what? People who obtain realtors to sell their home, they end up walking away with more proceeds than those who think they want to keep everything to themselves. Secondly, if you say you want to sell your home, that is feasible for sale by owner. Where are you going to market your home? You just put a sign.
That's right.
And if you are lucky, you'll be able to put it on somewhere on Facebook. You are just limited. But we as agent, we have a platform that I have 2 homes that I've listed. Somebody, no matter where they were, across the world, anybody who wants to buy a home in Virginia, when they Google, they will see these listings. So guess what? If I'm going to sell your home, it's easy for you. Your home is not just limited in where your house is sitting. is global.
Exactly, that's right.
Anywhere somebody has access to internet, they'll be able to see your home.
So you're shortchanging yourself.
Yes, because your house is everywhere.
Mhm.
We have international buyers. So if they are in China and they are looking for home
Okay,
in Haymarket, they Google Haymarket, they see your home.
I see.
But if you just do Facebook and they Google homes in Haymarket,
They won't
your home
see.
is a beautiful home,
They won't see.
but nobody sees it.
That's right.
So those are some of the things that people need to keep in mind. Also, you hear people saying that, oh, I'm even going to build myself a brand new home.
Mhm.
What is the agent going to do for me? No, we do a lot. Because sometimes people even don't know what selection they need,
That's right.
right? Options.
Mhm.
Because some people, once they look at the home, when you go there, they usually shows you the model,
That's right.
right? And people, to the average
Lay
person, they are thinking is they're going to get what the model represents,
That's right.
which is not true.
Mhm.
There are a lot of components that goes with it. So if you go there and you think you're going to get a model, you are deceiving yourself.
Mhm.
But if you have an agent, they'll be able to guide you and tell that this and this and this and that.
This is upgrade.
This is-
what you
this
do.
is standard.
Okay.
And not even that. Sometimes we can advise people. For instance, I do a lot of new construction and she does as well. When I take somebody to a particular location, sometimes they just, oh, because of my budget, I just want to limit it to this. But I'll tell them that in this DNA age, in this technology age, if you are going to resell your home years to come, you need a gourmet kitchen. So we as agents, we know what sells or what is going to drive your value years to come.
Future.
So we are able to tell you, please, even though you don't want to go beyond 400,000, but we think if you do this gourmet kitchen, even though it's adding $10,000 to it, $10,000 translate into today's interest rate, $60. We are able to tell them. So right there, they know, oh, so $10,000 is not a big deal.
That's right.
But if they don't have a realtor or they don't have anybody to explain this, they hear 10,000, say, hey, it's 14.
They want to drop 10.
They want to drop it. So those are the expertise and the things that we bring to the table, and not that even the loans,
Mhm.
because most of this new construction, they have their own in-house lenders,
Mhm.
and there's so much trick to it that if you don't have an agent who has an insight, who will be able to represent you very well, you end up, getting any
some
interest rate,
yes.
and all these fees that we
You
can
don't
help
need
you
to pay.
to avoid.
Mhm.
So those are some of the things that we just want to throw it
Enlighten
out there,
people.
so that they'll know that agent, we do more than just showing homes or just going to sit there with them.
Thank you very much for that insight. Very, very. Go ahead.
Oh, and just to quickly add, the negotiations that go on behind the scenes are really tough. An average consumer cannot do it. So, and we are your eyes and ears. So everything that he said is perfectly what it is. So don't go out to buy a house or sell one without consulting a real estate agent.
So a real estate agent is your advocate, number one, to speak for you in language that you don't understand, things that you don't see, they'll see, and they are right there for you. So back to the question that I asked again. What are some of the preliminary things or steps that I should take if I want to buy a home? What are some of the necessary things that I should do? I'll go now to Miss Anita. You lost your chance. I'll come back to you.
Good. I'm happy with
That is a really important question. So if you're thinking of buying or selling a home, of course there are processes that you need to go through. As a buyer, let's speak from a buying standpoint.
That's right.
As a buyer, most buyers, some of them will come to you and say that they are already pre-approved. And with them being pre-approved means that they've probably talked to a lender, get their documentation to the lender, and that has been taken care of. When a buyer comes to me,
When you say a lender, it means a bank.
bank, yes,
Okay.
that is willing to give you a loan. When a buyer comes to me and tells me if they are pre-approved, and I think Mr. Champon will later on also add, pre-approved, I'll ask, are you pre-approved, meaning that they've gone through all your paperwork, your taxes, your W-2s, your income and verified everything, or you are just pre-qualified, that they just took your verbal information and detailed assessment has not been done. So even if you have gone out on your own and obtained the pre-approval, when you call us as realtors, we will probe you and ask you some questions to make sure that you are on the right path. The goal is we want you to be on the right path so you can exceed or excel on the home ownership path that you are looking at. The other side is if you're a consumer that you haven't reached out to a bank or a lender, then what I will ask you is, well, I'm going to need certain documentation from you, which is your bank statements, your W-2s, your pay stubs, your IDs and such. So I can perhaps arrange to send it to my preferred lender or ask you, do you know any bank that you want to use? And I always recommend that you need at least 2 banks for them to look at your statements and give you that qualification. I think I'll pause here and Mr. Champon will probably talk about the credit and all those types of things.
We'll take a break at this time and we'll be right back.
Asnah, America's School of Nursing and Allied Health. Are you looking for a reputable nursing school that will equip you for the future? Asnah is the answer. At Asnah, some of the programs we offer include practical nursing, phlebotomy, nurse aid, medication aid, and home health aid. We also offer CPR classes. We have an ultra-modern library that helps make learning fun, a state-of-the-art simulation lab for all of our courses, and a well-equipped studio to help reach the community. We have well-trained and dedicated instructors who are here to ensure your success. Here are some pictures of our past graduation ceremonies. We believe, we inspire, and we create. This is our mission statement. Asnah has the right atmosphere to help you attain your goals. Asnah, we will help you follow your dream. For more information, please visit our website at asnahonline.com or call 703-490-8402.
Welcome back to Asnah TV. We are discussing real estate, and like I said previously, we have 2 realtors here who are educating us about real estate. I have Mr. Alex Achiampong and Miss Anita Vidia. And panelists, the question that I asked was, what are some of the preliminary steps that I would have to take in preparing towards buying a home? And Mr. Alex, you were speaking when we went on break, so I'd like you to continue. Take us from there.
Thank you. Just to pick it from where Mrs. Vidia left off. Qualifying for home is simple, but at the same time, there's twists and turns to it. If I say it's simple that a lot of people, when they hear buying a home, they think it's meant for some special people. No, everybody can become a homeowner, but there are some basic principles that need to fall in place. So just to continue from where she left off, 1, if you are thinking of buying a home, either in the near future, maybe 3, 4, 5 months from here, one of the things that you need to put in order is your credit.
Okay.
And somebody will ask me, what credit scores do you need to qualify? So we have the standard credit scores that the government or the loan companies requires. With FHA, which is the government loans, it requires 620. That's the standard credit scores. If you're doing VA loan, most lenders, the standard now, the last time I checked, is 631. If you are doing conventional loan, the same thing, you can use 620 to do it. However, FHA even takes it further. We have what's called expanded program, whereby people with as low as 580 credit scores can qualify for a home. However, do I advise people to use 580? Probably not. In some cases, yes. Some people, depending on what is in your credit report, it will be very, very difficult for them to turn things around in a short possible time. So in that situation, you are going to use it. But in most cases, if your credit scores are low, we are able to guide you by talking to interview you, tell you all the necessary movement that you can do to turn the credit scores around. So your credit score is very, 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 very important because
I
no
know-
matter your
I know that a few years ago that did not matter.
yes,
There were real estate agents were helping people fix it in another way. And for that reason, after people started losing their homes and all that, we then lost interest in realtors. So is that still something that is ongoing or?
thank you. It's a good thing. Now in today's, it's no and it's yes. You know, to the extent that it depends on who you are going to retain as a relative. Even though, as we are discussing loans, we are not loan officers, but at least we have the basics that when we have a client or you call us, we are able to interview initially. And gone were the days, as soon as you call an agent, they just give you to somebody that you don't know. And a lot of people, there's so much terms in it, they don't understand the technology. But when you come to us, we are able to break it down for you to understand. So now, we, modern days agent, to put it that way, or anybody who is practicing today, we are more equipped and more informed than before.
Before, did you need that licensure and all that to practice? And was it something?
Yes, you do.
You always need a
You always need it. So going back to your credit scores, you need to work on your credit scores.
Okay.
It's very, very important that you work on your credit score. Somebody will just ask, how do I go about my credit score? One, if you have credit cards, you cannot spend more than 30% on your credit card. So for instance, if you have a credit card of $1,000, in order to maintain a good rating, you cannot spend more than $300. So the more you use on a particular credit card, the lower your credit scores goes up. Even though surface, they advocate 30, but I always advise people stay within 10 or 20. So if you have 4 credit cards, each of them, you have to make sure that you don't dip below 30%. That is above, you always want to maintain 30%, 70% or more balances on it, so that your credit scores will go up. Good. And also, somebody also will ask me, well, I've been paying my bills all the time, but why is that my credit scores is going down? Because you keep using it. You dip it, you use so much, you write off. Somebody has $1,000 and they use what? $800. It's going to affect your credit score. So please, if you have in mind that you want to buy a house, you want to maintain good credit rating. One, do's and don'ts. If you know you are going to buy a home, you cannot go buy a new Jaguar or go buy yourself a new Mercedes Benz.
Luxurious spending.
No, because you're going to affect your DTI, debt to income ratio. So for instance, you are trying to buy a home now, you don't have any car loan, you can qualify for 400,000. But are you going to take that car note? It can depreciate your buying power, and all of a sudden you see yourself qualifying for 250. So if you want to buy a home, you need to make sure you don't go take on new debt, not just car, even new furnitures and so on and so forth. Also, if you are planning to go buy a home, please do not go sign a loan for your sibling or whoever, but any student loans or anything. And I just want to lay emphasis on it. Please, there's nothing like you there, you are just a co-borrower. There's nothing existing on the books. In the eyes of the law, whether your name is first or second on application,
You're a borrower.
you are a borrower. So please, don't let anybody trick you by saying that, oh, you there, you are just signing keke. It's not affecting you. No, it's not true. There can be 10 people on that loan, and still the owner, in the eyes of the servicer, you own it just like the first person on the line.
I see.
So it is very important that people maintain good credit ratings. It's very important. Secondly, job history. In America here, before you qualify for a mortgage or a loan, you need to work in America 2 years. 2 years, if I say 2 years, it doesn't mean it has to be one company. It can be different companies, but you have to have 2 years of working in the United States. The only exception to it is somebody who has just come out of school, because colleges and trade schools also count as school. So if somebody just came out of school today and tomorrow they have a job, they can still qualify for a loan. Or if somebody comes from overseas, but they end up working on this cap, and they're able to tell another that, hey, when I was in South Africa, I used to work on CAPS.
Okay.
And we're able to produce documents to show that, well, for the past 3-4 years in South Africa, you are working on CAPS, then you'll be able to get credit, also enable you buy the home. Thirdly, one of the things that I also want to lay emphasis is the income. We have the 1099 and we have the W2s. The difference between the two, 1099 is somebody that you don't get taxed. The whole money comes to you.
Independent work.
Yes, and at the end of the year, you file your taxes. W2s are people that get taxed at the source right away. So, I just want to lay emphasis that those who file their taxes, it is very important that if you know that 6 months, 1 year from now, you want to buy a home, you need to talk to a loan officer or a realtor to have a discussion as to how you want to file your taxes. Because we've seen a situation whereby somebody is making $100,000 and they cannot qualify for $400,000 home. In that, their gross income was $100,000, but they wrote off $70,000 in losses. And so once you do that, in the eyes of the bank, your livable income is $30,000 because you are telling them that you use $70,000 of your income to run your business. So it is very, very important. Coming back to even those who are W2s, we have programs for first-time home buyers, which is being administered through the state of Maryland. We have one called Maryland Opportunity Grant, and we have state programs, county programs. Same thing in Virginia, we have VHD. So on those type of loans, as a first-time home buyers, if they are going to give it to you, they need to look at your tax returns. And so how you write off your taxes is very, very important, especially those tax preparers that insert businesses in them. If the county is going to give you free money, if the state is going to give you free money, they want to look at your 3 years of tax returns to make sure you are paying your fair share to the county and also to IRS.
No libby laba laba, right?
Yes.
No under the table stuff. Ms. Anita, any light, you want to throw any light on any of the things to say?
Oh, okay. I think he has pretty much covered a lot of it. And I think some people refer to 1099s as self-employed or subcontractors. That's another way of looking at it. And then I think I wanted to also say a little bit about the co-signing experience. So if you do co-sign, if the person is, like he was saying, if they are not paying the bill and they are misusing it, that is also being reported on your credit history. That's why it impacts your capability of buying a house. And if you don't have credit, another alternative that sometimes realtors we may recommend is you can become an authorized user. An authorized user is, let's say I have a credit card and I have good credit score, and my daughter is 22 years old. She doesn't have credit, or she doesn't have good credit. Then I'll put her on my credit. I'll call the credit card companies and say, put my daughter on the credit. So then whatever good habits I am using my credit card for, it is going to be reporting also on her credit. And if I am misusing or abusing my credit, in a sense, it's also a factor. But I mean, if you know you have good credit and you want to help your children buy, that is another way of looking at it, adding them as authorized users. And sometimes you can even start early, at the age of 16, 17, if you know you have good credit and you don't want to mess up your children's, just call the banks or your credit card company and add your children to it. That means you're preparing them ahead for them to have that good credit score so they can also excel in that homeownership experience.
Good information. I did not know that. Yeah, good information. Now, let's quickly take a break and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Asnah TV, Asnah Discussion. We are talking about real estate. And I've said that we have Mr. Alex Ajiman and Mr. Alex Achampong and Miss Anita Bediakum. And we are talking about how to put yourself together in getting a new home or being a new buyer. So Mr. Alex, you talked about 5 things that is very important for anybody who's purchasing a home to get prepared for. So can you go over those things that you just mentioned?
Thank you. So when you are preparing yourself, there are a few things that you need to do. One is you have to make sure you put your credit score in place.
Okay, so
Two,
good credit score.
good credit score. You need to put your finances in place
Okay,
because of your down payment and the closing costs that are associated with home purchase. 2, 3, you also have to make sure you have a stable work history.
Okay, good work
Good
history.
working history. So in America, it requires that you have 2 years working history.
Okay.
So it's very, very important.
Okay.
And then also you need to make sure you don't do any large purchase if you think you are going to buy a home.
Control your purchases.
Control your purchases. You can't go and take in 10,000 chairs, new limousine, and so on and so forth. It is very, very important. And also, I did also talk about 1099 and W2. And W2s are people that pay their taxes in 1099. I just also want to chime in that when it comes to 1099, that is where we have some of the difficult challenges people qualifying for a home. Because when it comes to 1099, it's a straightforward. But the 1099, you file your taxes. So you decide how much you want to pay Uncle Sam. And so in terms of leverage, you're able to leverage yourself every year against Uncle Sam. But when it comes to you qualifying, that is where the problem is. So when it comes to 1099, if you're doing FHA, the government or FHA loan guidelines requires you having 2 years of income. You're going to average your income. So let's say last year you reported 10,000 and this year 15. They will put it together, split it into 2. That is what is going to qualify you. However, there's another loan which is conventional loan for first-time buyers or those who own their own business.
Okay.
So with that one, it has a leeway. You can only report 1 year of income. So it doesn't matter how much taxes you were not paying in the past. You can only report a lot of income in 1 given year for conventional loan only. And so in that case, if you are thinking of using conventional loan, then you need to make sure you really, really push your credit score. But you have to do that particular line of work for 5 good years in order to use the 1 year income.
When you talk about line of work, you mean if you're a nurse, you continue to be a nurse.
Yes.
You can't be, let's say, go work as maybe a teacher for a little bit, and then come back to nursing.
Yes, that is what that is correct.
You just have to stay.
Yes. So if especially with the 1099 people, it is very, very, very important that you stay on course.
Okay.
You stay on course.
Okay.
And also there's also deposit. There's another program whereby the 1099, the bank, they don't look at either your taxes or anything. All they look at it is your deposit, the money that you are depositing in your bank statement. So we call it bank statement program. So you only use your bank statement and look at how much of money that is coming in. And they're able to do the math to ascertain, okay, yes, it's true, from January to December, you've been able to deposit this X amount of dollar. And based upon that, we are able to give you the loan.
I see.
But the caveat to those kind of programs is that because they are not of mainstream lending, because it's not under Freddie Mac, Freddie Mae, or FHA, or VA, those are the ones that interest rates are very, very competitive. Those statement ones is through secondary markets, or we say investors. And so they are risking on you. So because they are risking on you, there's always going to be that kind of rate that there's going to tighten your rate a little bit.
So they make their own criteria as to how they want to look at your whole, to give you the credit or not.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's what it is. So in that case, those loans are through secondary markets.
Okay.
But Freddie Mac, Freddie Mae,
the government ones.
yes, those ones follow the rules, which is either your 1099 or your 1 year full employment history that you have to present.
I see.
Going back to even the 1099, also the employment history is very important, that people understand that if I'm a real estate agent and I'm doing this and I just earn another job in IT field, most lenders want me to be on the IT job for at least 6 to 12 months before they'll give me a loan. Most of the time, even it's 1 year. Because if I'm making $50,000 and all of a sudden I'm making 100, they want to make sure that income is consistent and not just because I want to buy the home. All of a sudden, I just switch to do something. So it's very important that consistency. If you want to buy a home, you maintain that flow. But you can change job even in the middle of even contract, so far as in the same field. So I'm a real estate agent. I'm buying home, and I'm making $100. And this person said, "I want to give me 120." Yes, I can change it and continue even whilst even I'm on a contract, because it's the same line of work. There's no distraction.
Can I have 2 jobs? No.
Correct. You can have 2 jobs, but the rules or the laws governing 2 jobs is very strict. In order for you to get 2 credits or to use 2 income, you have to stay on those 2 jobs for 2 years consistently, side by side. Or if, let's say you were doing this job, the same line of work, and you quit and you pick another one, most lenders will give you credit because you have a history of maintaining 2 jobs. But if it's not at all, and I've been working with, Asnah for 2 years, and I just picked another job at Fairfax, I have to do the Fairfax job for 2 years in order for me to use the 2 job. Other than that, the bank is going to wait. Even if the new job pays you more, they'll use the new job to qualify you.
So there's a lot of rules and games to this. That's why we need a realtor to help you understand some of these things. Because as mere consumers and buyers, many times we don't understand all this game. And sometimes we feel that they are discriminating or they are not really looking into our situations well. And therefore, sometimes we give up. So that's a reason why you need an advocate to stand behind you. And I feel that many times if you have an advocate, you're well respected too. Miss Anita, anything else that you want to add to?
I think Mr. Chamba has covered a lot. I think one thing that maybe he didn't cover was overtime. Overtime also has a different way of the banks calculating your overtime income. So that, like you said, there are a lot of stuff that goes into preparing for home ownership. But I think overall, we're giving the consumer a comprehensive understanding of the process. So.
Thank you so much. Now, the next thing that I'd like to ask is, if I own a home and I want to buy another home, do I sell that previous home before I get qualified or I get that home? I'll ask that.
Oh, okay. I think this is also another important question. If you have a home and you are thinking of maybe upscaling or downsizing, how do you go about doing that? Okay, well, it depends. There are different number of ways to look at it. Depending on your income, the realtor will talk to your lender, the bank, and look at your finances situation. How much mortgage are you paying on the current home that you are living in, and how much home is gonna cost you to buy the home that you desire to be in. So those factors are going to be weighted. So if the home that you are going to buy, your income is not sufficient, then most lenders will probably say you may have to sell your home in order to purchase that new home that you desire to be in. And then there are also, a good realtor will also want to find out what is the overall vision. Are you someone who is trying to use real estate as a tool and to become an investor, or do you just want to just buy homes that you live in and enjoy with your family? So all those factors will be considered. Now, if you are someone who is pursuing real estate as an investment tool and you want to perhaps rent the current home that you are living in, then a realtor will help you put some rent in place, help you with the leasing of the home so you can get a credit towards your income. So that will give you a big amount of income for you to be able to qualify for the next house. So there are a number of ways for doing it. So it all depends on your situation and your vision for yourself. So I think Mr. Alex will probably add a little bit more to it. So.
Ms. Alex, do I have to sell it or?
Yes.
And Anita has said quite a lot.
Thank you. That's a good question. So I just want to chime in this. In addition, we're talking about qualification. We just want the public to understand that, one, retirement, if you are on Social Security, is also considered income.
Mm.
So there are some people who think because we're talking about work history, they think, I have to be going to work. No. If you're on retirement, you can also use your retirement benefit as an income. If you are somebody who is taking a child support also can be considered as an income to qualify you buy a home. So far as the child, at least the bank has to make sure that the child support, at least it has 3 years life in it. So if you have a child support, you can use it as an income. And also the same thing, if you have, alimony. And if you're able to prove to the court that you have it coming consistently and the judge has signed up on it, it's also an income that you can use as to boost your income. And also, we have to also let people have to understand that sometimes even if you don't qualify for, you can also have a co-borrower. The co-borrower that you can have somebody out of state.
Okay, they don't have to live there.
That's one thing that people think that, if I need a co-borrower, they have to live in my house. No. Or they have to live in Virginia, or they have to live in Maryland, because both of us are licensed in Maryland. No. They can live in Massachusetts, wherever. So far as their income can be sourced, they can still come and co-sign it.
Do they have to have a good credit too?
Yes. Okay. So when it comes to the lending, everybody credit scores matters.
Okay.
And speaking of that, I just want to chip in, it's very important, especially for family and couples. Mm-hmm. You hear that Alex credit scores is like this, and Adwa credit score is like that, and they have in mind to buy a home. Guess what? We rise and fall together as family.
Yes.
So if you are couples and you plan to buy a home, you need to make sure that all of you be at the same level.
I see.
Because if I have 800 and you have 700, guess what? Our whole terms of the loan is going to be based on 700 and not the 800.
Oh, really?
So it is very, very, very important that if you are family couples, you make sure you build the score on the same level. Coming back to the question, just like she said, it all depends on your plan. I mean, recent days, most of the millennials, they realize that they want to build wealth. Mm-hmm. So I have a client like that I'm working with, will be closing very soon. They are going to rent their home. Mm-hmm. So in that situation, all we did was to sign a lease. We market the home and we get somebody who is willing to move into the home after their exit. Mm-hmm. So we write a lease, and the lease is going to cover the mortgage that they are paying to the bank. Mm-hmm. And even in some cases, some people are blessed. You realize that even their mortgage is $2,000, but they are raising their home for $2,500. So they are even getting even extra income that even they can even use to support themselves in their new home. So you can keep it, like she said, get a lease in place, or you can sell it. Some people, maybe they want a large down payment. So in that case, you want to sell it and roll it. And that is where our expertise comes in. Because whilst we are listing your home or we put it on the market, at the same time we are searching. So when we search and we find your home, we close it in such a way that we close your home early. We can close it the same day, yours in the morning, and then we close your new home in the afternoon. But we work what is called red back for you, so that after you close on your home, at least you have days or weeks to relax in your current home and move out peacefully into your new home.
I see. So it will depend on what your plans are.
And also the loan. Okay. Let me chip in the loan. Especially with VAs. People who are VA, most of the time, if their income is not that high, in order to use your VA benefit on the next home, most likely 99% of the time, you have to sell it. Okay. Or if you want to maintain the home, then, and if you want to use a VA on the new home, because the VM has a lot of good terms. I see. So if you want to use it on the new home, then you have to refinance your current home into different loan so that you free your VA. Okay. But if you have more income, I have one like that, that the guy has a good income. Mm-hmm. So the bank was able to maintain his current VA and also use the rest of the VA into another home. Gone with the days, VA has a cap, especially those who are veterans. Mm-hmm. If you are active, there's a cap. We only qualify you based upon your money that you make. But once you're a veteran, it's a different story.
I see.
So if I was, during the time that I was active, if I could buy 500,000 home, and I'm not a vet, but I have a job that can allow me to buy 1 million home, yes, VA is still going to guarantee it.
Okay.
No, they're still going to guarantee me.
I see.
But in the past, it wasn't like that. What you retire is what you have, but now they've changed it.
Okay.
So, active person, I was buying 500 home. Now as I'm out, I can afford 1 million home based on my income. You're allowed to do so. So, the selling part usually comes in if you're going to use a VA loan.
I see. So it's more beneficial to you
Because you want to free that your VA benefit and use it on a new home.
Okay. Okay. Great information. Lots of information. Lots of information. Now, is a home inspection necessary either when you are buying or you are selling? Is it necessary, Anita? Is
Home
it
inspection
as a requirement? Is it a requirement? That's what I want to ask.
It's a recommended. It's recommended that buyers.
Let's take a break.
Okay.
Welcome back to Asnah discussion. We're talking about real estate, and the next question is all about is a home inspection a requirement or it's something that is a necessity? Anita, can you explain that?
This is again another important question. Home inspection is a right that buyers have. You have a right to inspect the home to make sure that the home is in good conditions, there are no structural issues, and everything is in sync. So you have the right, but you as a buyer have the autonomy to make a decision as to if you want to pay to get the home inspection done or if you don't want the home inspection. So it's a right that you can do a home inspection, but you can choose to if you want one done or if you don't want one done, because there's a cost associated with a home inspection. But as agents, we always recommend that the buyer obtain a home inspection during the buying process, because we want to make sure that you do have a peace of mind, that you know what is wrong or right with the house, that the roof is in good condition, or the appliances are working, or there are no cracks, or the electricals are working. So when you're doing a home inspection, in essence, this is some of the things that the home inspector is covering and giving you that feedback that this is good. You can then move forward with the purchases. So that's what I would say.
And the buyer pays for that.
The buyer pays for the home inspection, but you are paying a professional licensed home inspector to come into the house and perform this duty on your behalf.
Thank you very much for explaining that. Now, Ms. Achambo, what is the difference between home inspection and home evaluation? Is it two different things?
Yes. There are two different things, and the main difference is just like the home inspection is the name goes by, so you are inspecting the property for its condition, and you also mentioned it asked initially that you also require home inspection for putting your house on the market. Absolutely, yes, I recommend it too, because sometimes by you, the seller, having an inspection ahead of time, you avoid unnecessary, pitfalls that potential sellers are going to bring to you. So if, as an agent, if you ask me to come and sell your home, with all humility, I'll just walk through the home with the eyes of a buyer's agent. That if I'm bringing an agent, a buyer to come and buy a home, how am I going to rate this home as a selling agent? So I walk through the home, pinpoint things that need to be done to you, the seller, for you to address them. In some cases whereby we realize that there are so many things, then we can recommend the home inspection, that we have an inspector who will come to inspect the house for us, and then he'll be able to give us a full report, which is equivalent to what the buyer is going to bring later. And so in that case, if there are major ones, we just make humble suggestion to the seller, and they'll be able to look at it and look at things that they think they'll be able to afford it in the address. And some of these things are just minor stuff. And so in that case, we're able to address them once and for all. And then when you put the house on the market and you are advertising, you have that confidence And so if somebody comes and says, oh, they want to do home inspection, even you, the seller, you don't even care. Or even if you do the pre-listing inspection and realize that there are minor issues that you don't want to sell it, in that case, as your agent, I can say, okay, we're listing the home as it is. Because in that case, we have a knowledge of what is wrong with the home.
So there's a clause.
Yes. So then we put in MLS as it is.
Okay.
And so whoever is going to buy it, it doesn't
Takes
prevent them from doing their home inspection. Yet they can do it. But in the marketing section, we've already indicated that we are not fixing anything for you. So you're buying the home as it is. So it's very important that sometime you have the money, you do the pre-listing inspection. Coming back to the evaluation is simply the bank, which is a requirement. It's required by the bank. Inspection, just like she said, is not required by law. It's optional. You decided you want to inspect the home. But the appraiser said through interest, the interest of the buyer and the bank, because they want to make sure that this particular home that they are buying, it has the value in it. So you, the seller, buyer will pay the bank money, and the bank will then send somebody there to evaluate the home to make sure the home has a value. So during the home evaluation, 3 things can come up. It can come in at a value, the listed price. It can come in below the value. It can come in above.
Okay.
And so if it comes in above, then you, the buyer, you're on the winning side. In that case, real estate agent, we don't say anything to the listing agent or the buyer's, how do you call it, the owner. Alex, what is the value? He came in 400,000. We are good. Bye-bye. But if it comes in low, then your buyer's agent will go back to the seller agent and say, Miss Nita, the house came in light. Alex, what did my came in light? It's 450, but it came in for 435. So at that point, professional negotiation comes in. We negotiate it. Sometimes we negotiate it by reducing it. Sometimes we negotiate it depending on the market. 6 months ago, somebody will be like, okay, well, it came in 435, but I still want you to pay me $10,000 to offset some of the losses. The seller, even though it came in 430, the seller wants $10,000 from the buyer, which is all. That's what we're talking about. Our skills comes in agent to agent. We talk to our prospective, clients, and we're able to come to a common ground. The third one is the seller or the listing agent, the seller, they have the right to challenge the evaluation. If they feel like, well, this home, based upon the qualities, the features of the home, and recent homes that have been sold, my home looks better than them. So for this appraiser to come in, that this is less, we don't buy it. So we want to challenge it. So at that point, if the buyer's agent, if the listing agent want to challenge it, we have a process that we go through that is formed, that the two agents together we're able to, prove our point. If I'm saying that I'm challenging it, I have to be able to come out with points, features, things that back my claim that the house has the 450 value and not 430. So which is the whole process that we go through.
So listeners, viewers, this is what we cannot do on our own. When they tell you that it came appraised higher or lower or whatever the bank decides, you might be discouraged and walk away, but your agent or your realtor will be the person to fight for you. That's why you need a good one.